In many ways, this is the first truly global scandal. From the White House in Silicon Valley to Oslo.
Your Majesty, how are you feeling after your brother's arrest?
The British may have clung to their monarchy for 2.5 centuries, since their American cousins rejected it, but the relationship between the royals and their loyal subjects hasn't always been smooth. Targets of public disapproval over the last century and a half include King Edward VII, previously nicknamed Dirty Bertie on account of his epic philandering, Edward VIII and his ill-advised affinities, which included an American divorcee and some of the leadership of the German Nazi Party. Even Queen Elizabeth II fell foul of the British people for a while in 1997, after they were whipped into a frenzy by tabloid editors who decided that Her Majesty's response to the sudden death of Diana, Princess of Wales, in a car accident was insufficiently sentimental for a so-called People's Princess.
Sir, to what extent do you think the royal family has done enough around the Andrew and Epstein issue?
Today, the hysterics surround the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and should be treated with an element of caution. It's true that Andrew is the first member of the royal family to be arrested since his ancestor, King Charles I, was tried and executed at Westminster in 1649. But Mr. Mountbatten Windsor isn't the king, and his alleged offence is not a capital one. But more importantly, we should be wary of the chasm between the frenzied reporting of much of the media and the actual significance and long-term importance of what's just happened.
Something had to be said, because increasingly people were saying, yes, Andrew did all these bad things he's being accused of, but also were there cover-ups in the palace? Did people know? Now,
the former Prince Andrew is indeed a contemptible figure. Most people who've ever met him, myself included, come away struck by an impression of that odd combination of aloof self-assurance and abyssal dimness that is quite common to many members of the British nobility. And what he's alleged to have gotten up to with Jeffrey Epstein was certainly redolent of low character.
A man on a constant self-aggrandising and self-enriching hustle.
But watching the pursuit of him by the massed ranks of the British public, media and politicians...
A rude, arrogant and entitled man who could not distinguish between the public interest, which he said he served, and his own private interest.
I can't suppress a slight sense of revulsion at what might be termed the spectacle of the unbelievable in pursuit of the ineducable.
The bottom line is no one's above the law, and once that investigation's closed, should the UK government decide they want to remove him from the line of succession, that's something we would support.
First, there's a full-on moral panic that now has Britain and Commonwealth realms, as well as large parts of America, in its grip.
Charles! How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein?
Few things are less edifying than a mob that has decided to rectify a wrong in pursuit of justice and purity.
They have to go off, obviously, and get support of 14 realm countries around the world, and should they come to that decision, that's something that we would be very supportive of.
Again, there's nothing defensible about the heinous Epstein, but the frenzy over the Epstein files and the crimes they are largely falsely alleged to document is the most unhelpful basis for a proper, measured consideration of how we might deliver justice.
You have the British monarchy having to answer questions. I mean, the King of England is putting out statements, and yet in our country we have not had that reckoning.
Then there's the mistaken suggestion that the British are somehow bringing the powerful to account, while America is letting them off scot-free. It's not just an errant prince, the critics say, but a former Labour cabinet member, Peter Mandelson, who's had his collar now felt by the law. But this would be wrong. England has a rather vague common law offence called misconduct in public office, and it's this law under which Messrs Mountbatten Windsor and Mandelson were investigated after suggestions in the Epstein files that they might have passed confidential government information to Epstein himself. But please show me where the files show similar alleged criminal behaviour by Americans.
He was trade envoy for 10 years, started 25 years ago, I think. And so there's plenty of material in government archives, in government records, perhaps in palace records, that they will want to look through before they can decide whether they have enough evidence.
It's hard to resist the suspicion that Keir Starmer's Labour government is happy with this made-for-TV spectacle, as it deflects attention from the alleged venality of its own former minister, and more importantly, from its gross ineptitude.
The political decision to appoint Epstein's close associate, Peter Mandelson, as Britain's ambassador to Washington goes to the very heart of this Prime Minister's judgment. When he made that appointment, was he aware that Mandelson had continued his friendship even after Epstein's conviction for child prostitution?
History offers a useful reminder that royal scandals are a convenient tool for an unpopular political class, a mistrusted army of newspaper hacks, and a disgruntled public eager to find a plausible villain.